Well, hello everyone. Happy weekend. Welcome to Out of Left Field a podcast, episode 11. So hitter 2 in the batting order is getting their second batting attempt. I'm Kevin here with Jonathan. Jonathan, how do we follow us?
Hey, Kevin. So our episodes, as always, live on YouTube and Spreaker, out of left field on both of those platforms. Video on YouTube, audio feed on Spreaker, and we are on social media. We are on X and Instagram at Outa LF Pod, OUTTALF Pod, and we are out of left field on Facebook.
Yes, we were almost went live for this episode, but we were just some technical issues. We couldn't do that, but we are planning to go live soon. So you'll be able to hear us live on YouTube and on all the other social medias as well. Well, Jonathan, before we talk baseball, it's a pretty significant event in Canada. One that I think is a one kind of a once in a lifetime moment here. The World Cup is here. And of course, as we're recording this the morning of Saturday, which is the first World Cup match will be played Saturday night between Australia and Turkey at 9 p.m. I know that there's a lot of negativity towards FIFA and some of the practices that they have done, and the prices for tickets are ridiculous. But it was a very cool moment to see Canada score their first goal, uh, get their first point against Bosnia Herzegovina on Friday, and get their first ever draw. They're coming to Vancouver for their next two games against Qatar and Switzerland. We're kind of in a very cool moment. I think that we should acknowledge the fact that this is here and this is a historic moment for Canada, really, the FIFA.
Yeah, definitely. Um, yeah, kind of as you alluded to, it's hard. It was hard for me to get into it well beforehand because of all the non-soccer stuff around FIFA. But I once match day got here on Friday for Canada's opener in Toronto. I got into it. Um, it was very cool to see Canada host a World Cup match, and I think back to I think about the World Baseball Classic, and obviously baseball is my sport, baseball is our sport, and so um, it's kind of similar to that, and yeah, I think the two sports are in a similar spot where baseball's not the top dog in Canada, soccer is not the top sport, and they're both trying to see how far they can get. They might not ever be the power, but they're both growing in caliber on the field and excitement in the country, and so I'm excited to see baseball growing and the excitement around the national team for baseball. And so, when soccer has its moment too, I feel like I should jump on board for them. So, yeah, it's pretty cool.
Yeah, it's cool. Yeah, the and I will be working traffic tonight for this Australia Turkey game, so it's kind of a cool moment that I'll be part of a broadcast and it's not like the broadcast, not part of the World Cup broadcast, obviously not there, but I'll be guiding traffic. It's kind of a cool moment. Anyway, I just thought it would be good to acknowledge that, but we are here to talk baseball. We'll start with the Mariners this week. There is a lot of some good Blue Jays news. And we haven't recorded since it's been 10 days since we've last chatted with you. And there's a couple of things that happened last weekend for both the Mariners and Blue Jays that we are going to touch on. With the Mariners, there was a controversy with Josh Naylor and the Detroit Tigers. As Josh Naylor, some Tiger fans, Jonathan, are very upset with Josh Naylor because he has a head, and when you throw at his head, he ducks, and some Tiger fans were a little bit upset about that. Like, how dare this man duck a 99 mile an hour fastball coming to his head? Like, he should just take it. Like, what are you thinking here? Anyway, there was some controversy around Naylor's behavior around that, and some of the pitches around that. In that, one of the things that I love, like, it's kind of funny. Of course, we're Canadian. Canada. Speaking of Canada, Josh Naylor, a Canadian, and he kind of has a bit of a hockey player mentality to him in some ways, just because he's a bit of an antagonist. He's kind of laughing at the Tiger pitchers. He's kind of taking it all in stride. It was kind of an entertainment. So I guess now the Tigers and the Mariners now this is what came out of it. The Tigers and the Mariners now have a rivalry, and Josh Naylor is a villain. That's the news. So
yeah, not surprising that Josh Naylor is the villain for another team. He doesn't seem to shy away from that stuff.
He is the straw that stirs. Like, he is the guy that will find a way to get you into the battle. Like, for example, this, I don't think it was this, it was a couple of weeks ago. It was a little bit ago, but Josh Naylor, it was during Munoz's, this was during the Detroit series. And Naylor comes up to Munoz and he's just giving him an intense conversation. We'll talk about Munoz in a moment, but he's becoming a huge leader on this team. He's not a face of the franchise guy, but the Mariner fans absolutely adore who Josh Naylor is. He just brings a bit of that swagger to the team. He's something to watch. That we had to address from last weekend. The other issue that came out from last weekend is the struggles of Andres Munoz, who blew another save last weekend. I have some interesting stats for you about Munoz this year, Jonathan, that will surprise you. His ERA last year was 1.73. His ERA this year is 5.18. He is 3-4, 10 saves. The most stunning part of his stats, and there's a lot of smarter pitching people that are giving some good explanations, such as slider isn't working, and really you're kind of noticing some struggles, especially with the early part of the at bat. But just according to StatCast, his barrel percentage last year was 6.6%. This year it's 11.7. So that's almost double of last year, and he hasn't been that high since 2019. So that's like a pretty significant drop off. Now the question is, do the Mariners need a closer? Some are suggesting Canadian Matt Brash step into that role. There's Jose Ferrer. I for one I'm kind of leaning towards, at least you got to at least examine this at some point, because the trade deadline is now 6 weeks away. And if you need to get some bullpen help, you kind of have to figure that out as quickly as possible. And I don't know if Munoz is hurt, but it's been a significant drop off, and it's very concerning going into as we said, head into the All-Star break here. So as I said, it is coming quite quickly here. And yes, they're in first place, but we talked about this. They're still in third in the division here in terms of the division leaders. They need to get the bye. So,
it's crazy. It just took me back there for a second when you said that the the trade deadline is 6 weeks away. It's crazy how fast it's moving.
Yeah, August 3rd this year, but still, you're still dealing with 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7 weeks away. Still, yeah. The other problem is Brian Wu. Brian Wu pitch is at home is a Cy Young pitcher. Brian Wu on the road is a Y Young Sung pitcher. I just tried to make a joke that didn't work. But struggled against Baltimore. Went through the on Thursday. Went through the first part of the order really well, but the second part of the order, including Pete Alonso, sent one. I think it was hit to Washington D.C. I still don't think it went down. Like it went really far. So that's an interesting dilemma. They are going with the 6-man rotation at this point, so they are not doing the piggyback anymore. They're separating Miller and Castillo. So that's the home road splits for Brian Wu are something else that is going to be a concern here. And injury concerns are becoming a big thing as well. JP Crawford already on the IL for an injury that happened in Detroit. He's still with the team, but he's dealing with an injury. And then Randy Arozarena on Friday night got injured as well in the 10-2 win over the Washington Nationals. So, and it didn't look great. It looked like it was a foot injury from my understanding on that. And yeah, that is another injury they don't need. They've already are without Brendan Donovan. They are still without Cal Raleigh. So it isn't not looking good on the injury front right now for the Mariners. So Victor Robles played a little bit. Has played a little bit. He's been good, but he's not Randy Arozarena, who's been one of the better hitters for the Mariners. I'm just pulling something up here for Brian Wu because I wanted to look at his home and away splits. Because while we're at it, some of the other news: Cal Raleigh is expected to return this week. So now there's 3 catchers, and Johnny Peralta has played pretty well. He's been getting most of the work since Raleigh's been injured. So now that's another question of what you do with the lineup. That's another interesting question going through here. I have Brian Wu's stats at home: 4-0 with a 2.37 ERA. On the road, 1-5 with a 5.93 ERA. That's a pretty Jekyll and Hyde. So that is concerning. But and that actually, looking back at that Blue Jays series, he struggled in game 6. It was him that started that game, and he struggled. So this road issue is not new this year. This has been a little bit of something that has been coming up. So that's that. And then also for the Mariners, another call-up contribution, which has been a good story for the Mariners this year. Nick DeVita comes in, and this is the 10th inning of the game on Monday. And he got his first MLB save in the 10th. So congratulations to him for that. Yeah, that is basically what has happened with the Mariners, who are currently in Washington, D.C. for the weekend, playing a very offensively talented Washington National team, but they have a terrible record at home, and they're pitching they had a brutal week. Can we just talk quickly about the Nationals here, what happened to them? On the same day that the New York Knicks come back from a 29-point deficit, the Nationals blew an 8-run lead in the bottom of the 8th inning.
Oy, that's rough.
Yeah. Bryce Eldridge hits a walk-off grand slam in the 9th. So the Nationals can hit, they just cannot pitch. That's their big problem right now as they're coming through. But that's basically where the Mariners are at this point.
Yeah. I'm looking at the standings again, and I mean, I've brought it up before, but Man, from a Blue Jays perspective, must be nice to be the only team over 500 in the division.
Yeah, so 37 and 34 as of this recording, 2 games ahead of the Athletics. Again, yes or no? Yes and no, because we'll get into this a little bit later, but there's a team that is starting to snook up on all of us. And I still want them to be in the top 2. So yes, it's great to be in first place. It's allowing them to, I think right now, it's the panic button isn't on with all of these injuries. It's good to be in first place, and it's kind of feels like for the most part, they should win the division. But I do think it is important to get into the top 2 because you get the home field advantage, you rest your arms, and I think both of those things are really significant at this point. If you are in third, like you'll play one of the wild card teams right now are currently the Yankees, the Guardians, and the Athletics. And then the Rangers are kind of in there, and the Blue Jays are kind of in there. I'd rather have someone else eliminate one of those teams, including if in the playoff, there's a possibility, there's a path right now where the Blue Jays and the Mariners could face in the wild card round.
Yep.
So I would rather take that step to go into get into second place and avoid all of that. Yeah, I mean, I don't want to see the Guardians. I don't want to see the Yankees in the first round. And the Athletics and the Rangers can pitch and the Athletics can hit. So I'd rather avoid all of that and take a break and let everybody else fight it out.
Yeah, definitely.
Yeah. Also, we're in the All-Star. We're getting into the All-Star voting time here. So some names I would like to put in the All-Star. Randy Arozarena deserves some credence. He's probably been their most consistent hitter all year. Julio Rodriguez leads the Mariners in home runs. I think he's kind of a given that he'll be selected to go to the All-Star game. Josh Naylor, I think, will be another one. And then pitching wise, it's interesting. I'm thinking the one bullpen guy that I could see is Jose Ferrer, who's been their most consistent relief pitcher. And then in terms of starters, Kirby has kind of struggled a little bit. Logan Gilbert's kind of struggled. Miller has just got back. I think he might have been. He's been amazing since he's come back, but I don't know if he's played enough to render all-star consideration. And then Luis, no. Kirby, Miller, woo. I'm just going through my head. Probably the 2 pitchers that I think will get some consideration is Jose Ferrer and Bryce Miller. So I think the Arozarena, Rodriguez, Josh Naylor, Ferrer, and Bryce Miller, as I said, I think are the five guys that I think will get some all-star consideration. And maybe J.P. Crawford. I mean, the lineup has been good. Colt Young, Cole Emerson. I just think that the problem with Emerson is what we talked about last week. I mean, he's got higher barrel rate than Griffin and McGonigal, but has he played enough games? Like, if that's a consideration with Rookie of the Year, is that in consideration for the All-Star game? I don't know.
Yeah, I would think it would be.
Yeah.
But that's just me. Yeah, I got thinking about Blue Jays All-Stars too, and it's there's not as many Blue Jays on that list in my mind. It's been a tough year. Offensively, of course, the team has underperformed, and that's been a mixture of their stars just flat out not performing, Vlad and Springer, but also missing missing Alejandro Kirk for 62 games takes him out of that conversation. The one hitter for the Blue Jays who's been a standout is Ernie Clement, has just continued what he did in October of last year, when he set a record for hits in a postseason. I believe he still leads baseball with his 20 doubles this season, 7 home runs, 28 RBIs, playing second base in a position that's not that deep. So I can't really think of a second baseman who's flat out been better than him. So he's for sure an all-star in my mind. The pitching side, Louis Varland, for sure, 2 earned runs in 33 appearances. And he's been great in his save opportunities. So Louis Varland for sure, tons of strikeouts as well. And Dylan
Is he now the closer, or are we still playing around with the analytics here?
Nothing's been officially said. The tag hasn't been put on him, but he's received taken a couple of more saves since we last talked. So it sure looks like he's the guy, but I don't think they're ever going to come out and say it. I'll just look something up here on Varland, and while I'm looking that up,
I have the doubles leaders while you do that. Clement
okay,
is in the lead. Devers and Johnston of the Colorado Rockies are tied with him at 20 for doubles. So that's Troy Johnson, a 28-year-old in Colorado.
right,
Tacoma's own Troy Johnston.
nice. He went to, I think I remember calling some of his summer ball games because he played, if I'm remembering the right guy, he played at Gonzaga.
Full name, yes. Yes, he did.
Yeah, so he would have played summer ball in the West Coast League, and I would have seen him there.
He was drafted by the Marlins.
Yep. Yeah, and then he got traded over to, yeah, that's right. I'm looking at Louis Varland, and he's 12 for 12 on saves, and he took the save in the first game against the Yankees on Friday, and 2 saves against Baltimore last week. So he's taken all the save opportunities recently. So effectively, he's the guy. But I don't think John Schneider's ever going to publicly anoint him the guy. But just finishing up that also.
I don't get that. Can you explain that to me?
No, I can't. I I'm kind of agree with you. And I said it. I had some things to say last time we talked about how they need to just make Louis Varland the closer and the conventional ninth inning guy, because I think there's a difference in mentality when you're trying to get the last 3 outs of the game. And the Blue Jays, for a lot of this year, apparently don't see it that way, because there's been a long stretch of time where they've been pitching Louis Varland against the best part of the order late in the game, no matter what inning it falls in. So if the best part of the order hits in the 8th inning, Varland throws in the 8th inning, and then Hoffman or Rogers or whoever is left over get the ninth inning. But yeah, I agree with you. Varland needs to be the ninth inning guy because Hoffman, he's very, very good as a mid to late innings guy, but he just doesn't. He's not suited for the ninth inning. One base runner gets on, and he forgets how to pitch. And Louis Varland's not like that. So yeah, I agree. I agree. He needs to be the guy, and I don't know why they won't come out and just say it.
Yeah, that's an interesting. It's an interesting dilemma.
Just finishing up the All Stars thought. The only other guy I think is Dylan Cease. He missed a couple of weeks due to injury, but he's been awesome this year. A sub-3 ERA, 103 strikeouts in 68 innings. So I think, yeah, Ernie, Varland, and Cease should be there. Of course, pitchers, it usually comes down to who's available, who happens to be available to pitch on All-Star Weekend. But those are my three guys. Speaking of Blue Jays pitching, there was a notable moment for the Blue Jays. Max Scherzer on a Wednesday against the Phillies. It was in the first inning. I believe it was the first batter of the game. He recorded strikeout number 3,500 of his career. That puts him 11th all-time. He now has 3,503. 11th all-time in strikeouts. Needs seven more to pass Walter Johnson for 10th all-time. We'll pause the Max Scherzer debate for now, but just putting it on, just giving him his flowers for that achievement and the career he's had. He's had a remarkable career to last as long as he has at a high level. Yeah, it's been an amazing career for him. And I don't know if we see another. With the way pitching is nowadays, I don't know if we see another 3,500 strikeout pitcher.
I see what you're saying, but I still think that that's a realm of possibility. I wonder if we're going to start to see the realm of getting back to the dominant starting pitcher again. I think that there's some pitchers that are pushing back on this conversation. We'll get to a couple in a moment.
I could see that. There's a few, like the top end guys, the Skubals, the Skeens, the Mazorowskis, the true ace. Those are true aces combined with the just incredible stuff that pitchers are throwing nowadays. But in my mind, there's a lot more correction that needs to happen to starting pitchers being allowed to throw deeper consistently and not just that top tier guy. It's the way baseball's been the last 20 years or so. Starters just aren't throwing enough innings to put up those types of numbers. But so he had that moment, and then Scherzer's start went downhill from there. end up allowing 5 earned runs in 3 and a third, 2 home runs and 3 walks. His ERA is 10.23 in 6 starts. It was his first start back from the IL. So John Schneider says there's going to be no evaluation after that one start. They're going to give him another one and then see from there. But the conversation has already started around the Blue Jays about how the Blue Jays and Max Scherzer dismount, how they would part if it doesn't end well, if his performance doesn't come back, because the rotation, as we kind of get into the Blue Jays injury returns, the rotation's getting better. Trey Savage has been back for 3 starts now, I believe. Dylan Cease has been back for a start. It looks like Shane Bieber needs one more start in AAA and then he'll be back. So they have 5 starters right now. And then when Shane Bieber comes back, they'll have 6 starters. So there's some uncertainty around Scherzer right now. They might have to move on, and that would be a sticky situation, having to move on from Max Scherzer.
Like move
Just
on, like DFA him, really trade him, like.
I don't think you get anything in a trade right now. So yeah, maybe DFA, and just with the stature of the player's career and what he did for them last year, that wouldn't be a fun. I mean, it might have to happen, but it wouldn't be a fun situation to go through.
Is the bullpen an option?
I don't think so. He doesn't have crazy stuff anymore. Not a strikeout guy. Walks been an issue. I don't think the bullpen's an option. But yeah, we'll see how that goes. A big return.
The problem I see, here's this. On one hand, I see your point. On the other hand, you get rid of him, and he might find one more ounce of something for somebody.
Right.
Like Yankees, they always find players like this and revive them. The Dodgers do it all the time. Cubs, I don't know.
Yeah, you're right. It could happen. It just, to this point, it just has not worked this year at all. But yeah, it's. I think you were the one cautioning me heading into this year, that because I was remembering the playoff run and the confrontation on the mound with Schneider, and I was remembering the good things about last year's playoff run. And I think you were the one cautioning me to remember that Scherzer's ERA last year for the regular season was over 5.
Yeah.
So he hasn't been great for a while now.
Yeah, it's one of those things, though, is he just needs to do it. He needs to do it once somewhere, right? Like, if he has one more. If you don't think you have it, then it's understandable. But you have to absolutely make sure that you don't have it, right? Because I think the problem that the Blue Jays are facing here is I don't see them. I mean, I don't see that as a staff that can I just think Scherzer gives you a little bit more of an anger in a pennant chase moment. I mean, you got Gosman. I think he's good. I think your Savage will be inconsistent this year. I mean, he walked 6 last night against the Yankees Friday night. So I mean, he's going to be a little bit inconsistent. Dylan Cease has been good. You got Shane Bieber who is coming back. That's just the one thing I would be concerned about.
Yeah.
And your
sure.
bullpen is absolutely taxed.
Oh, yeah, it's insane.
Yeah.
I think
I think
they
they've
had,
had the most appear. I think Mason Fluharty leads the league in appearances this year.
yeah, I think they had at one point recently, I think they had 4 of the top 5 relievers for most appearances. They had like 4 guys on pace for 80 appearances. It's insane. But yeah, hopefully Savage can find some consistency, and hopefully Bieber looks serviceable when he gets back, and that bullpen can settle down a little bit. But I think I mentioned in the injuries Alejandro Kirk, and he came back for game 1 against the Yankees on Friday, and he had in his first at bat, he had a 2-strike, 2-out RBI double that allowed Kaz Okamoto to get up after him in that inning. And then Okamoto hit a home run to the 5th deck in Toronto at the Skydome or the Rogers Center. Only the 23rd player to ever reach the 5th deck with a home run, the 12th Blue Jay, and the first Blue Jay since Josh Donaldson did it. So that was fun to watch. But it's just the effect of having Kirk's bat back. I mean, you saw it plainly right there. But just a guy that can hit all types of pitching. And just gives that lineup, lengthens that lineup out, makes it, gives them more gritty at bats, sort of starts to make it look a little bit more like that lineup they had last year. And Nathan Lucas is another one of those guys that's back now too, so the lineup is starting to look a little bit better. And another piece of that is a new piece. Brandon Valenzuela, rookie catcher, stepped in when Kirk went down for 10 weeks. And Valenzuela has been great. His defense has been getting better consistently. And offensively, he's been really hot in the last couple of weeks. Overall hitting .252 with a 790 OPS, 7 home runs, 18 RBIs. So with Kirk coming back, they had a decision to make. Do they send Valenzuela back down because he has options? Or do they DFA the veteran Tyler Heineman, who was good for them last year, but was having a terrible year this year, and they elected to keep the rookie, and they DFA'd Heineman. So that was a notable shift, moving on from their backup catcher, who was really good for them last year, but it just wasn't working this year, and Valenzuela looks like the real deal. And for a team lacking offense all year long, you have a guy who's giving you offense. So they're going to find, like, Kirk's not going to play every day. So it's probably going to end up being like a 4 games a week for Kirk, 3 games a week for Valenzuela type thing. And someone we haven't brought up, funny, I kind of went off on Vladdy a week or 2 ago, and I haven't really brought up George Springer, and he might factor into the Valenzuela equation a little bit, because Springer just hasn't done it this year, and he's been hitting in the leadoff spot all year again. Hitting 208 with the 664 OPS, 6 home runs on the year. They flat out need more from him. Now, he did hit a home run, and he was on base 4 times on Friday against New York. So maybe he's feeling it a little bit. But with Valenzuela coming back, with Kirk coming back, they now have 2 catchers who hit and a DH who's not hitting. So I wonder if to get the 2 catcher bats in the game, I wonder if George Springer's playing time is at risk here.
It just feels like Schneider doesn't want to make those tough decisions.
Yeah.
Because I think logistically, you're probably right. You're going to have to keep Valenzuela in the lineup. And I'm kind of surprised it took you this long to talk about it, by the way. He's been pretty good this year.
Valenzuela. Yeah.
When I've watched, I've been impressed with him. But yeah, I think right now Schneider wants to ride the veterans or ride the players that he trusts, and I totally get it. But at the same time, you're certainly feels like there's a little bit of a crossroads here. And there's no question that George Springer has a good play, that grinds my gears to say this, because I'm not a fan of George Springer, but he does have playoff success behind him. But so that's the one challenge that you're facing. I mean, I don't think you're suggesting trading him, but he might be a guy that you probably take off the bench for a while and work that. But I don't know if Schneider has the guts to do it, because that's a gutsy call.
It would be. I just thinking he might be a bench bat a little bit more. The Blue Jays broadcast was mentioning that they are entertaining the thought of him playing the outfield, which would be possibly another way to keep him in the lineup with the 2 catchers in the lineup. Springer hasn't played 1 game in the field this year, and the broadcast has hinted at him possibly picking up a glove again. But again, that seems like that would be centered around how can you keep Springer in the lineup. And I don't think that's the right question right now, unless he gets it going. Yeah, but I mean, maybe, he had a great game against the Yankees on Friday. Maybe he gets it going. But yeah, that's pretty much the Blue Jays right now. It's about time. I looked at the standings on Friday night after the Blue Jays beat the Yankees in the first game of that series, and 8 games back. And I know it's, the deeper we get in, and that number is not going down. The division is getting more and more like a long shot. But so this Yankees series is kind of the first series that feels like a must win if they want to keep any hopes of making a division comeback. Like a sweep this weekend, and they feel like they're right back in it.
Yeah. Now they got an interesting schedule ahead of them, because they got after this they are on the road to Boston and Wrigley, and then home to Houston, Texas, and the Mets before going back out west again. So, Yeah, it would be good to do you at least win the series against the Yankees if you can sweep? That's great. I think you absolutely have to win the series against the Red Sox. You have to take advantage of that bad ball club. But the Cubs are going to be tough.
Yeah.
That will be a tough series. But there's two other things I did want to talk about. We mentioned the controversy last weekend with Seattle and Detroit. There was some controversy last week with Toronto and Baltimore, where Ernie Clement dodges. Well, I don't even think he moves off the base path to get to second place on a hit by, as mentioned, Brandon Venezuela. Henderson doesn't really make an effort to tag him, so he's ruled safe. Caused a lot of frustration in Baltimore with this call, but and they talked about it actually in the Mariners broadcast on Monday. First of all, Henderson didn't make an effort to tag Clement, which is one huge thing, which, like, at least if he reached out, but he didn't even make an effort. So that made it tough for the umpire from the visual that he had from second base to make that call. But I think the rule that was missed here is that the base runner can go wherever they want. So if they want to run 5 feet, if they want to run to right field to avoid the second base, they can. It's the taggee or tagger. It's the second baseman that has that establishes the base path, not the base runner, and that is what was missed. So the base runner can go wherever they want. He has to, like, in that play, he has to tag him, and he didn't, and that was the essential of that rule. Although it was a little controversial because I think people don't realize that the base runner can do that, but they can.
So basically, the wording on that I have heard is that the base runner can establish their own baseline.
Yep.
So they don't have to run a direct line to the bag. They can, it's the line that they create, and then they can go 3 feet outside of whatever line that they create. But I think the part of that for me, that, the important part of that play for me was, like you said, the tag attempt or the lack of tag attempt, because there was a lean forward maybe by Henderson, but there was no real tag attempt there, so I think they got it right.
Yeah. The other thing I wanted to mention was there was a cool moment last night where a Canadian astronaut who flew the part of Artemis 2 throughout the first pitch, that was Jeremy Hansen. And there was kind of a cool interview and a cool moment there. And I did want to acknowledge, in the face that we're celebrating Canada, that Canadian Jeremy Hansen threw at the first pitch for the at the Blue Jays game last night. So a really cool interview with Hazel May during Blue Jays Central. So I thought that was kind of cool to see that.
Yes, I saw that too. That was really cool.
Yeah. Let's go through some Major League little snippets here. We'll start from Monday. The Athletics played in their future home in Vegas for the first time. The score was 15-14. It brought us all back to the days of the Colorado Rockies expansion. The runs kind of came down after that, but that was kind of a crazy start to the A's career in Vegas. They're going to have to figure something out about that if they're going to go through with this move to Vegas, which they are, and it's going to be interesting to see what the stadium looks like. But I don't know if pitchers are going to be super excited about 15-14 games, just my hunch. But the other games were not too bad. The Athletics beat Milwaukee 7-5 and 4-3, so kind of a bit more normal games, and then 6-4 a game in Colorado as well.
I'm just clicking on that box score, the 15-14 game, because I remember watching the highlights of that game, and I want to get the numbers right. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10 home runs.
Yeah.
And seeing some of the highlights, and like there's been in the games that followed, the scores weren't as bad in the games after that, but there's been some bombs hit in that park, like 450, 480 foot bombs. It's not a good look. I'd be real upset if I was a pitcher right now having to play there. But it's, you don't want to let the A's off the hook, because, it's a one-time thing. I think they're playing a couple of series there, and it sounds like their permanent stadium they're building, obviously it's going to have more levels of stands, which disrupts the airflow, or should, because the AAA park they're playing at right now is just one level, and so the jet streams can carry balls out. And I've heard that the location of the current AAA park they're playing in is much higher than the new stadium will be, and the new stadium, I think, is calling for a roof. So the permanent stadium in Vegas will have much different conditions. So I don't think it's that much of a concern going forward. But yeah, it made for some wacky games.
Yeah, for sure. That's scheduled for early 2028, and it's at the site of the former Tropicana, Las Vegas. To blend this to the Milwaukee Brewers, Jacob Mazorowski, who I think this year, I have a funny feeling, last year was the AL MVP debate that was catching the MLB. I wonder if it's the NL Cy Young race that becomes a debate. And I think Jacob Mazorowski has to be sitting right in the middle of this conversation. 15 Ks on Friday night, 1 hit, 27 batters, which is the minimum, several over 105 miles per hour. This kid, since he started, has been a sensation here. And Milwaukee continues to develop pitchers. Can they keep him? That's a whole other conversation, but a great performance. Like, he's in the Cy Young conversation.
Yeah, and that outing on Friday, as I pull it up here, against Philly, as you said, complete game, 1 hit, shutout, 15 Ks, 95 pitches. So it was a Maddux, as they call it, and the hardest recorded, the fastest velocity recorded by a starting pitcher ever at 105. Just outrageous stuff. But yeah, as you're talking about the Brewers, this is kind of how they do it, and it's how they contend consistently, is developing their own arms, and they've done it again.
Yep. Speaking of arms, Tarek Skubal, who we've had a conversation about for the last couple of weeks, as potential acquisitions for either A, the Blue Jays, or B, the Mariners, is expected to start on Saturday against the Tigers. So we'll talk about him next time we podcast. But the other story is in the AL Central is the blessing of the Pope in the south side of Chicago. So last year, the Chicago White Sox got their 37th win at about game 150.
This
Yeah,
year
I
at game,
I saw a tweet that um, they won their 37th game on Friday, and I saw a tweet that last year when they won their 37th game, they were 37 and 120.
yeah, so
So it
that would
was,
be 157. So that was
yep.
almost to the end of the year. Yeah.
And this
So
year they're 37 and 31.
yeah. As mentioned, they are, as I mentioned when we talked about the Mariners, they are a bugaboo because they are now in the second seed of that American League playoff seeding, which would give them the bye in the first round. They've won. They came into this Saturday podcast winning 3 in a row. We keep saying that are expected to fall, yet they keep doing this. Um, yeah, and you know what's absolutely fascinating here, just from the Whites, of course, that 37 win season last year, they get the number one, they get the number one pick this year. But they play the Dodgers. They beat the Dodgers last on Friday night. They play Yamamoto. We keep saying they're not for real, but they're not going away, and they're, you know, I think the AL Central is kind of a fascinating division because you've got Cleveland that's kind of in there. I don't want to count out the Tigers, but some might. But they're starting to get it going. I think the two teams that are probably not going to be around is Minnesota and Kansas City, which I was expecting a lot more from Kansas City this year. I think the White Sox will hang around. I think this all comes down to what Detroit does. But I don't think the White Sox are going away, unfortunately.
The White Sox aren't gonna drop off the table because they can flat out hit. They have a lot of power in that lineup. They have 40. They have about 40 more runs scored than anybody else in that division, so they can hit. And they have Davis Martin at the top of their rotation, who's been great. But I don't think their pitching is going to be deep enough to keep them in the division lead all year. But this is a stark turnaround already from last year. So yeah, they're gonna be a factor, but I don't see them staying in first place in that division. A team that the team that I keep waiting to emerge a bit more is Cleveland.
Yeah.
I think they have a pretty good lineup, and they're known for pitching, and they their offense has been okay, but I keep waiting for their offense to get a bit better. And their issue too has been pitching a little bit. So like Detroit, they had a great last couple of years, and this year they had a terrible start. They could lock in. Like the Tigers could lock in, go on a run. They could keep Skubal, but they're 9 games back, so they've given themselves a hole to dig out of.
Yeah. And then in terms of the wild card, they are 5.5 back. They got the third worst record in the AL, but they are 7-3 in their last 10. So yeah, interesting there. Well, let's wrap up with we started talking about Canada and FIFA. Let's talk about Canada and baseball to wrap up where we're at here, Jonathan.
Yeah, so a couple of notes that I wanted to shine the spotlight on a little bit. I wanted to talk about Michael Soroka a little bit because he's having a great year with Arizona. And baseball fans might remember Michael Soroka probably mostly from his rookie year with the Atlanta Braves in 2019. He was an all-star and second in Rookie of the Year voting with the Braves in 2019. And injuries have derailed his career quite a bit the last few years, and he's bounced around. And it looks like he's rediscovered himself and found a home in Arizona this year. 3.28 ERA, 72 strikeouts, and 74 innings over 13 starts so far this year. He's a Calgary guy. Played for the Pro Baseball Force amateur baseball program in Calgary. Team Canada Junior National Team guy. Team Canada World Baseball Classic guy. So yeah, it's really, and I've had a couple of encounters with Michael, and just a top class guy. So really cool to see. Really happy to see Michael back on form this year, and hopefully it continues all year. Kind of a fun note that a lot of people might not know about Michael Soroka, and it's kind of a deep cut, but it's still kind of fun. Is he was a first round pick of Atlanta in 2015, and he signed prior to the draft. He signed a contract to play summer college ball in the summer of 2015 with the Medicine Hat Mavericks in the Western Canadian Baseball League. And that was created because he had, prior to that, he had played in Tournament 12, which is now the Canadian Futures Showcase run by the Blue Jays. And his coach at that event was Greg Morrison. Greg Morrison is the owner of the Medicine Hat Mavericks summer ball team. And so Soroka signed a contract with them as a fallback just in case the draft didn't work out. And of course, the draft worked out. So he never went. But that, of course, I grew up in that league, so it's kind of a fun note. And yeah, talking about the Mavericks, as we kind of give some props to the development levels in Canada again. A cool note about them: last Sunday, they set franchise attendance record playing at Athletic Park in Medicine Hat. 2,470 fans at their game on the Little League Day last Sunday, and that I found notable because Athletic Park in Medicine Hat was home to the Mid-Hat Blue Jays of the old Rookie Pioneer League from 1978 to 2002. And before that, the first season, they were actually affiliated with the Athletics, and that's where the park got its name, Athletic Park. So for a ballpark that was in minor league baseball for 25 years, and the Mavericks now setting an attendance record for that facility, that was really impressive. So good for them. And the Mavericks have put a lot of money into that park and modernized it. So it's a really nice ballpark now. But just kind of going down that Mid-Hat Blue Jays, going down that lane a little bit. I mentioned the Mavericks owner, Greg Morrison. He was the 1997 Mid-Hat Blue Jays MVP. And other people that went through Medicine Hat in the Blue Jays system, John McLaren was a manager in Medicine Hat. McLaren went on to coach in Toronto and manage the Mariners. Jay Gibbons, longtime big leaguer for Baltimore. Gustavo Chassin, who had a moment in Toronto. Former Blue Jays pitching coach Bruce Walton started in Medicine Hat. Lloyd Mosby, Pat Borders, David Wells, and Jimmy Key all played together in Medicine Hat in 1982. Others, Mike Timlin, Chris Carpenter, Chris Woodward, Orlando Hudson, Alex Rios, Dustin McGowan. That's pretty, that's fun.
Yeah.
Going back to look at the players that have gone through these former minor league towns.
Yeah. He Carlos Delgado as well. Did you say Delgado? Did I miss that?
You might be right. I didn't see that myself, but you could be right.
Yeah, I have him, like, I'm looking up here and it says that he was Chris Carpenter as well. But yeah, that's cool. It's cool. Yeah.
Yeah. So yeah, good on the Mavericks. And just wrapping it up, cool moment for Sam Shaw. He is a Blue Jays prospect from Victoria, BC, played for the Victoria Eagles in the BC Premier League, drafted in the 9th round in 2023. He has been coming back from injury early this year. He made his way back to the Vancouver Canadians in the Northwest League High A, and his first at bat in Vancouver, off of injury, he hit a home run at Nat Bailey Stadium in Vancouver. So for a Victoria guy to hit a home run in Vancouver for the Canadians, and there's video of it on X, and so that was a pretty cool moment.
Yeah. Yes, good for him. Good for him. 21 years old. Drafted in 2023. Still hanging in there. Good for him, for sure. Anything else we need to touch on?
I'll just look ahead for the Blue Jays a little bit. Obviously, this weekend against the Yankees is big, and you went through it earlier, at Boston and then at Cubs. So yeah, it'd be big to at least win this Yankees series. And then going on the road, I mean, I think they got to take care of business against Boston. And then they have a tough one against the Cubs. So yeah, big week coming up. And with the spot they put themselves in, it's big from here on out for the Blue Jays.
Yeah. Mariners finish up against the Washington Nationals and then come home for the Orioles and the Boston Red Sox. So interesting to see what happens there. We'll leave it there, though. And again, Jonathan, how do we follow us?
Yeah, so our episodes live on YouTube. The video one is on YouTube. The audio copy is on Spreaker. We're out of left field on both of those. We share our links to our full episodes as well as segments of our episodes on our X and our Facebook. X and Instagram is OUTTALF Pod, OUTTALF Pod, and we are Out of Left Field on Facebook. And then if you're watching us, you can see it on the screen. But if you would like to also follow us individually, I'm Haji Speaks on X, and Kevin, you can share yours.
I am KEVOLE on social media. Subscribe, like, tell your friends. We got some cool things coming up here. Thank you for watching. Thank you for listening. We will talk to you all very soon. Bye for now. And